Hey, welcome back, rankers. Having a good week? I just want to start off by asking a favour this week. There's potentially a new exploit out there for Google, and there's been a bit in the, I guess, the SEO news set about this particular exploit. I just want you to test it for me. And I'm going to bring you a full report next week. I'm going to bring you an interview with a couple of guys that have been working on it. One's a local guy, one's from Toronto. Hi guys, Nick and Anthony. And they've done quite, I would say, chilling expose, but I need to talk to them first. But I just want you to test this for me. If you type in SEO Melbourne, we haven't been on the front page for quite a while. I'm not concerned about that because it's not a great phrase for us. We're at about anywhere from, depending on where you do the search, we're anywhere from about 12 to 14, something like that. If you can do that search, maybe go to page 2 and then just click on that for me. That's all you have to do. You can browse around the site and look at a few blog posts if you want. That'd be great, but you don't have to. Just do that, and I'll monitor how many people click on that during the week and bring you results, if there's been any change or a negative change. I don't want to do this on a client site just in case it hurts the client site, because this exploit's in the news a bit. Anyway, check that for us. What I wanted to follow up on from last week though is because we got a lot of interest on that post that I did last week about 25 minutes work and the client jumps up 35 spots to get on page 1. Now, Karen, I called the client Claire, but then she added herself on Facebook. Karen is still on page 1. She's got a few other phrases that are starting to come up, and everything's actually coming up around all the things that we weren't even monitoring, but Search Console is monitoring. So people have asked, well, what did you do? When you say clean up the internet, what do you mean? Well, I'll show you another one. As you know, I'm producing this course, this online course for bloggers on SEO, a system for bloggers on how to do SEO for WordPress. And a couple of things have come out which relate to last week's video, in that pretty much every blogger's site I've looked at, including some of the big ones, all suffer from the same issues. And if you just clean all this stuff up, you can get a boost straight away, because they're all quality issues, the duplication. Duplication, as we've said before, is a killer. I'll put a link in the notes about that. But this is Trevor Young. Trevor is a content marketer, a professional speaker, author, a podcaster. Anyway, what Trevor doesn't know about content marketing isn't worth knowing. And I'm using his site as one of the sites. I'm using about 3 or 4 sites as part of the course as I go along, to show different areas of problems that people can easily fix up. So the first thing I do is you do your site and your website name. Now, I usually start with the base, or the root domain as we call it, so no W's, as you can see there. You can see we've got 195 results. Then I go www, and I've got 213 results, which is a little odd. Normally when you do that, the root domain will have more than the www version. Okay, so that doesn't match for starters. If you're not using the wwws in your web address, then that should show nothing when you do the www search. So if you show your root domain, it should show you all the pages that Google has crawled. Then you go into the, I've just submitted a sitemap recently for Trevor, and you can see here we've got a category sitemap, we've got a page sitemap, we've got a podcast site, post sitemap, post tag sitemap. This one actually shouldn't be in here. See, it's got 222, so we'll be taking that out. And this is all just configurable in Yoast. But basically 43 plus 28 is 71 to 72, what's that, 83, and what we got here, 83, and then we've got this one here, which is his post sitemap, 83 plus 119, so say 203, and then we've got this one and this one. So we're pretty close. So it's about 210, something like that. I should have added these up before I started recording. So that's not bad. And then what you want to see is, I've got to get rid of these before Google's already indexed one of those. But the other thing you can go and see is, once you've looked at that, then go into your Google index areas. And because this sitemap's only been set up last week, we don't have anything in there yet. But we know that Google's already indexed, say, around 200 pages. So if you can get that, when you do that site colon search, if that's, say, within 10 to 20% of either the products that you have or the size of your blog, a number of posts that you have, that's pretty good. Most cases, though, it's not. We've got one of the sites that I'm looking at, hi Michelle, Google has indexed something like 1,400 pages, and she's only got about 300 posts, right? And it's a blog, right? So there's no big shopping cart or catalogue or anything like that. So that's bad. And typically when that happens, it's because Google has gone and indexed things like tags, categories, archives, and these tend all to be pretty much duplicates. So what the process is just trying to get that number when you do the site colon search, when you look at the index status in Google Search Console, and when then you look at your sitemap as well, they should all be about the same. If your sitemap's way higher, like Trev's is here, because there's 222 tags that shouldn't be in that sitemap. When that's higher than your actual posts or your products, then that kind of means that there's something wrong with the sitemap configuration, as there is in Trevor's situation. So then you go and fix up that. If you know your sitemap number is about right, based on the number of products or pages or posts that you have on your site, and the site colon search is way over or way under, that's what you need to fix. And what I tend to do is then go and crawl it with a crawler like Screaming Frog or something like that, and go and find out what are the pages that are being indexed. It can be all sorts of things. In an e-commerce site, it's going to be far more complex than, say, a straight WordPress or flat HTML site. In an e-commerce site, the duplications or the extra pages tend to be different views. So search by, you might have a function where you can look at all blue products or something. So different ways to view the content, and Google will index every one of them unless you tell it not to. Also in e-commerce sites, I was looking at a Magento site this morning. I was doing an audit on for someone, and they had a weird wish list plugin, and they were adding, when you clicked on that, you actually got temporarily redirected. Problem is Google's crawling all those temporary redirects as well, and it sees as a potentially low quality site because it doesn't want to get its users all temporarily redirected. So when I talk about cleaning up the index, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about getting the actual number of pages or products on your site matching what's actually in the Google index and the sitemap. You get all those three matching, you will get a boost straight away, like Karen did last week. And Hugh, who commented on the blog last week, who's also bought one of those products in the financial year, you're on the front page today. So that's from page 2. So Hugh's, I haven't even looked at what work's been done on Hugh's site yet, but it would only be a similar amount. And look, once you see rankings move, like in the case of Karen's, then you wait and watch, because what can happen is that it might jump up a bit further. But if you go in after that initial jump and go and do something, and it doesn't jump up a little bit further, or it drops a bit, or you won't know if it was going to jump up or not. So you've got to wait. You've got to, what I tell people is you've got to wait for it to stabilise, the rankings to stabilise, the rankings to settle. Because what can happen sometimes, it can go like that, and then it can go like that. Sometimes, so the thing here is don't panic, all right? Don't panic when you're making changes like cleaning up the index, which does have a monumental impact if your site is a mess on your rankings overall. And what tends to happen then is, once you get that right, every piece of content that you've got on your site starts contributing to your overall ranking. But when you are looking at one and you want it to stabilise, you see what tends to happen is it'll jump up a lot, then a little bit, then a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and then it might drop back a bit and sort of just bounce around. And that's the way it happens. And when it's doing that sort of bouncing around, then, you know, bang, okay, next set of work. And a lot of people say, oh, Google wouldn't do that. Google would be aware of exploits, or you know, Google wouldn't let that happen to a ranking. Last week, they advertised, wait for it, and I had a bunch of people send me this, and Lucio was just one of them. Oh, sorry, Lucio. But it was on the SEO Roundtable blog. So in case you think that Google knows everything about SEO and knows what we're up to and all the rest of it, they're hiring SEOs to help them rank better. Google is hiring SEO companies SEO employees to help their own products and properties rank better. Okay, so I maintain that a lot of the things that happen in Google, when you make a change, there is no employee in Google who will know why that particular thing happened, because the algorithm is so complex. So what you have to do is know your site well and know the competition around the phrases that you're targeting really well. And then you can start to get a feel for it and understand that the change that you made had an impact or didn't have an impact. That's it for this week. Hopefully that's helpful. Leave a comment, ask a question, send us your site to review, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much.